Wah, 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 wah. That's the intro, remember?
Please don't leave that in, Leland.
He leaves everything in, even when I tell him not to.
Especially when you tell me not to.
Especially when I tell him not to.
I don't even know what number this is. 10?
This is After Party 9.
Welcome to After Party 10.
Oh my goodness.
It's 10.
X.
After Party X.
After Party X.
After Party X.
Ooh, that sounds fancy.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds
I like that.
NSFW.
Perfect.
Just one X.
Oh,
Just a little NSFW.
just the tip.
That's right.
Okay.
And we're off.
I guess the wah keeps in there. It's staying in there.
Oh, so yeah, can't get rid of that. So we're talking about sessions 30, 31, and 32.
That's right.
Take it away, John.
The Bryn episode.
This is a really good series of episodes, I think.
I think we left it on quite the
I'm not
cliffhanger.
biased at all, but I liked him.
You were hardly in them.
Maybe that's why I liked him.
I think they're going to be a fan favorite.
There's about 15 minutes of Falzy.
Yeah, well, we start out with 30, which is all Bryn, so
There
I'll
was a
just
whole lot
sit
of
here
Bryn.
and listen.
Bryn episode.
Break it down for us.
Rogue One, a solo story.
Well, like in our actual recording, we left it off before the Bryn heist episode. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do, so I was messaging with Leland. It was kind of in the works, and I don't know, we didn't think it would be that long, or I didn't. I don't know about you, Leland, but did you?
Yeah, I wasn't entirely sure how long it was going to take, but it, thankfully, which we will get to later, turned into about long enough for a full episode.
So break it down, Bryn. Or I guess I should say Elena now. Elena, did you contact Leland and say you wanted to go have a side quest?
Yeah, so I messaged him with this idea, and then we did it on a off night. Like, Bill came home and wore his headphones and was oblivious to everything going on, but it was like rather exciting to, I don't know, did you think I was going to get caught, Leland? I was hoping I didn't, but I thought it was definitely a possibility that they all wake up and I'm gone in jail somewhere or something.
It was 100% a possibility that you could have gotten caught, but that frickin' wood elf bow, man.
That's what I was going to say.
It's very difficult to detect you when you're wielding that thing and tiptoeing around, so.
I think it was uttered at the end, like, why am I even having you doing stealth checks? It was pretty good. Everything involved in that whole heist was, like, something Bryn was, as a character, like a rogue is built for. So it was, like, I was proficient in everything. Those earplugs of the boulette really helped me when I was feeling daunted by the lock and everything, even in further episodes, putting those in to hear the ankegs and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. So, I don't know. I was a little disappointed with what was inside.
What were you expecting?
I mean, the gold was good. Bryn was about that. I was a little bit just information. And
what the fuck was supposed to be in it?
Well,
you wanted
because
the treasury of the city of Golden. That's a little tiny safe.
I thought maybe a cube, the cubes we need to go up in the towers and the light and all that. But my disappointment came from the fact that any information you told me, even if it was vague, I later say to you, as DM, what do I recall? Do I remember seeing this? And it's kind of in your hands what I remember. Or did I read something about this? Because like I said, I took time to memorize it and then put it back. But I think it still gives you as DM a control over what.
You could write it down.
Well, I tried to write some stuff down, but it was still very vague and yeah. But
well, you didn't take any of the information as Bryn, right? You did state though you wanted to look over it quite well, so you'd have a better chance of recalling it.
Yeah. Okay, so another thing, this is kind of off subject now, but when we got into that office, Leland, listening back, I heard you describe what was it? I assumed it was a picture covered in paper, but
a
I never.
large rectangular shape
Yes,
covered
but I
in
never
paper. Yeah.
investigated it.
You
just
didn't
'cause
actually open it.
I just assumed what it was. I'm like, dang it, I should. He's taking the time to describe something, and I'm not checking into it. I was so
It
mad.
could have been a waste of time and something that would have given away your presence there too.
Sure, but maybe it was a picture of who Drake Lakely is or something, and like I need, Anyway,
So why didn't you just take the stuff?
like the blueprints and all that?
Yeah.
My thought was, because did you listen to the episode, John?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you guys gave us permission for that
Yes.
one, right? I mean,
Yes.
I hope you did. 'Cause I listened to
Bryn
it.
is sharing all the information with you, but she didn't share so far that like she took the
Right.
gold and replaced it with marbles or ball bearings or things. Like I basically wanted him to think nothing happened. So if he sees it all there and sees a bag full of stuff without going through the bag, like he's not gonna know.
So you did tell us, or maybe did you tell us any of this information yet?
Yeah, I did.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, in episodes
Yeah.
30, 31, and 32.
Yeah, 32.
Yeah, I believe in 32, yeah.
In
Okay,
32
okay.
I do.
I remember listening. I just didn't know if that was where. Yeah, I guess it was.
And that was like Bryn reiterating what she remembered too, which I like.
So we can talk about our theories then, right?
Yeah, I need to know who Drake is. I want to know if Drake's still alive or
So
if, like,
I will just want to, before you guys get to your theories, so the info recall on those papers. Yeah, since you didn't take them, you may become an unreliable source
yeah, that's what's
trying
like,
to figure something out. But I would never let you explain something in character knowing that Elena forgot,
right, like,
and I
okay.
wouldn't let Bryn, think that she's being truthful with somebody just because because the playtime gaps, et cetera, just because you had maybe you had forgotten about one little tidbit of something. So I would certainly interject where needed, as I think I'm pretty good on doing. But you didn't take it. So like, I don't know if you if you guys ever get to these freaking towers, were you to attempt to use that knowledge, like your viewing of the blueprints as a way of navigating it, that's where like a check would come in, basically, right? If you and I did state in the episode that it's a fairly simple blueprint. I think you'd have a really good chance of knowing one, like how many different sections or rooms the tower has, if there's something that goes all the way up to the top of it laid out as far as the blueprints you've seen. Now, of course, judging by the date of the contract, you don't really know how often and how fresh the papers in there, but you did see two distinct versions of the tower, and you do know as a character that the two towers you guys are supposed to shut down are larger and basically newer. So
yeah, there's newer and there's older.
right,
I remember you telling
Compared
me.
to like the one that she saw in the filler and forest.
exactly.
But I definitely was surprised. So I was disappointed that I was like papers and information. Okay, fine. But I was definitely surprised to hear that like the mayor of Goldham, supposedly, because his last name is Lakely and Drake Lakely, so there's some sort of connection there. Like, why were they involved in the construction or maintenance of these towers, but hiring people to shut them down? And like, I
think money.
let's spit theories.
Money and power. They were given a lot of money to help build those towers, and they probably had an arrangement. And I think it's his dad, probably.
But more money, more problems,
Well, I mean, it's not like he's he's hurting for cash, right? I mean, he's getting his picture painted and delivered, and
Well, you guys did see the state of Goldham, right? Like, and Blake did mention to you like his commerce has been affected.
yeah.
And basically, that's the driving force behind needing to get the towers shut down.
Yeah, I think he's that's why he contacted Detmer to make it look like he doesn't have anything to do with this.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Something's went awry in their deal, or the deal his dad made.
So where's Drake Lakely? In a dungeon somewhere, and Blake pulled a coup and he's...
I think he's probably dead, and
killed
Blake,
him?
Old and dead.
Killed his dad?
Well, you could just be old. I mean, Blake wasn't a young chicken himself.
Well, Samuel Coltis is still in charge of the Paladins, so...
Yeah, but I don't think Samuel Coltis is human, and I don't think he's living a normal life.
He doesn't age. Okay.
I mean, if he's elf, he could be living a long life, because elves do.
Hundreds of years, yeah.
Well, let's hope.
But I think he has an unnaturally long life. That's my thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's not a far stretch.
But if Blake had information to help us power down the towers, in which he hired us to do, I would have thought he would have given us more information than he did.
Maybe he doesn't want to incriminate himself.
Well, he hired Detmer, you're saying, to, make sure he stays out of it, but then he let us into his office and gave other people items to help them. I don't know, it's weird.
I mean, we're not the only party either.
Yeah.
That's not that secretive to let us in the city hall and all that.
Or maybe he's still working for him and
setting us up.
Setting us up for a reason, yeah.
Maybe you're seeing how many adventurers they can kill.
Maybe we're giving Leland ideas.
Yeah. Maybe we
scribble,
should stop metagaming.
taking notes.
Yeah. Okay, so then you, I guess, is there anything about your solo episode that you thought was, you really enjoyed? I mean, like, when you were sneaking around through the hallways or anything and, breaking into the windows, anything you want to talk about?
I mean,
it's...
What I was about to say is Bryn was feeling herself, but then Bill's gonna be so mad at me.
This is an after party. You can say anything you want.
Bryn, it felt really, really good to be successfully rolling and pull something off that I wanted to.
That bow was amazing.
Yeah, it came in right in time. Perfect timing with the bow. Even in 32, she one-shotted 2 of those ghost things, didn't she? That was 32? Yeah. So I'm not spoiling that. So Bryn's feeling pretty good about that bow. And Elena's very happy that she has it, that's for sure.
I think money well spent, for sure. I mean, it literally already paid for itself, right? That's roll.
The listeners just had to deal with a shopping episode, but
yeah,
girls be shopping.
Every 10 to 15 episodes we have a shopping episode, so sorry.
Although you still haven't
I still haven't given you a total of on Mike what's in that bag.
What bag?
The pouch
of
gold, the gold pouch.
You did kind of tell me off mic, yeah. We could kind of touch on that a little bit. The bag of gold, Elena misremembered how much we were getting for that job. So, in character, we could say that Bryn was trying to fool Shaft into thinking she got enough, but it was really Elena's fault. It was my fault for misremembering.
Yeah, so originally when we were recording that, I did interject and remind Elena that in that pouch is nowhere near what what the job was supposed to pay. I did actually end up cutting that out of the episode, though.
Yeah.
So it left it as if Bryn was
a persuasion,
lying, kind of thing. And I hummed and hawed on it. I think John and I had kind of talked about it a little bit, the ramifications of it being kept in. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm just going to take this out because I think the episode flowed more, better.
Yeah, it definitely flowed well, but listener, I was lying. We still have to get these towers. That's not enough gold. I think that's okay to say in the after party.
Yeah, before we get to that, because that's a little bit down the line.
It is.
You get back to the.
Keep us on track, John.
Yeah, we get back to the tavern or the inn. Yeah, hang on, everybody, strap in. I said in. Okay, so you got back. You saw the toad, frog toad, as
oh man,
referred
I was
to a number
just
of times.
loving the fact that
the 5-toed
yet
toad.
Again. Leland introduces us to a creature which we...
I purposefully said frog.
Did you though?
Yes, I did. I 100%. Because I think it's funny that we do that.
Oh man, now you sound like Shaft.
Didn't seem
Yeah,
like you did on
but
purpose.
also what is actually funny is that, I mean, you literally 5 episodes before that you had met the Grung.
Yeah.
These tiny
Right.
little frogs, and now there's this giant ass toad. What the fuck is with these amphibians? I have like a fetish or something.
I wasn't going to ask Leland because I don't know if I want to know the answer.
Leland just loves grappling his amphibians.
Just love
Cold-blooded
getting
creatures.
that tongue all over you.
Oh, sick. Too far. You just crossed the line.
So, while that was Bryn's first encounter with that creature, and that creature is called a Banderhob. It's out of Volo's Guide to Monsters. Very cool creature. So while that was Bryn's first encounter, this is not the first time the listeners or any of the party members have, quote-unquote, encountered the Banderhob.
That is true.
What? How?
I got a bit of that vibe as well.
I'm so
Listening
confused.
back.
You guys know that you were.
I
You
didn't
have listened to.
I haven't listened to your part yet.
Oh,
Or have I?
Wait.
No, I
did
haven't.
you, Elena? You did, didn't you?
No. The thing where you did
Oh.
your ritual?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh no, that's you can listen to that now, right?
So there's
Leland?
Bannerhob
I think
in
so.
that?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Dang, I didn't
Well,
know that. So is it your fault
Technically,
or what?
I don't think they should listen to it though, because there's one piece of information still that Shaft wouldn't want other people to know.
That is true.
Obviously, I've heard it.
Yeah,
So
you're
long
right.
story short, Shaft's the reason why Falzarin's dead?
Yep,
No,
that's it. And I will never forgive you.
I mean, Falzarin could be dead. We don't know that for sure, guys.
I would think I'd almost. I don't even say anything.
There were,
This
I will
is getting
say, there
tricky.
were a lot of dominoes that were lined up in very perfect ways that I had nothing to do with.
That makes me sound bad.
Okay, so just one of them was saying I wanted to break into a safe in the middle of the night. Because for sure, I did
That
get
was
to
certainly one of them. Absolutely.
I did get to explain it on mic the second time around, which we'll mention. Listener, it'll
Yeah.
make sense in a minute. But I got to mention, like, Bryn had this level of guilt for leaving in the middle of the night and stuff and thinking she
Right.
could protect Falzarin. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to our.
So
our,
it's not all
our
her
tiff.
fault, eh, Shaft?
We'll get to our little tiff here in a little bit. So, so then we went back, and it was the what was it? The gargoyles, the stone gargoyles.
yeah.
That was pretty much an episode almost, right? Not a whole episode. but-
No, the very beginning, I think it was maybe the 15, 20 minutes of episode 31, I believe. And then the rest of that episode was you guys basically getting on the track, deciding whether or not you want to go after Falzarin, and then
Right.
finding the
Don't
trail,
even.
and then getting to the outer limits of Goldham.
So I do have one thing I want to bring up.
It
When
was more
Shaft
just convincing
was,
Shaft. Friggin'
when-
Shaft.
Yeah, when Shaft was in with the gargoyle in his room, and I was asking you about getting out the window. I was going to jump out the window, right? And I wanted to see if there was anything down below I could land on. And then the other question I asked was, can I move away from him? Can I, without provoking an opportunity attack?
Mm-hmm.
What I was planning on doing, and I envisioned in my head this bed in the room, in the middle of the room, right? And I was
I
going to
see.
roll off the side of the bed and under the bed.
Okay.
Right? So the idea there was, would that provoke an opportunity attack if I was still within 5 feet when I went off the bed and then rolled under or behind something that would give me cover, full cover?
Oh, okay.
You see the point?
Interesting. Yeah.
And
gotcha.
I was trying to do that, and I thought I'll just give up on it and see. And I just disengaged and ran. But I thought that was a good thing to bring up in the after party. As what call would you have made if I said I rolled off, stayed within 5 feet of the gargoyle, and then rolled underneath the bed?
If you had performed that feat and stayed within 5 feet, you'd have been good.
No.
Like, he wouldn't have gotten an attack of O. I mean, basically, that would have been you getting on the ground and rolling under the bed. I mean, that's what it amounts to.
Right. But I'd go from being next to him to full cover.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but then you would also be prone, and then he would get prone to attack you, and then and then we'd have you
or
guys
destroy the bed.
Yeah,
destroy
I
the
would
bed
assume-
or something.
I would
Yeah,
assume
yeah.
he'd crush the bed, right? So
You're right.
No, right. So that we had a little interaction there.
Not the first bed Shaft is broken.
Now you're talking, baby. Yeah, so then Gozer, you had a little interaction in your bedroom.
Well, I have a quick hypothetical for Leland then here. So what if Bryn would have chosen to run to Falzarin's room? Would I have made it by the time he was being attacked?
Possibly. Well, judging by the events of how the episode actually played out, yeah, you would have. And then we would have, instead of you and Gozer first, it would have been Bryn and Falzarin first.
Yeah. So, because like on the spot, I chose to go to Gozer, not knowing whose rooms the gargoyles crashed into, thinking she's the strongest to help us.
Yet another domino.
So two dominoes for Bryn.
You guys have blood on all of your hands.
What? What did Gozer do?
Yeah,
Gozer barred her door, which doesn't help any.
Gozer is taking precautions.
Gozer.
And Gozer has been doing that since episode 1. Like every time she's in an inn, she's been barricading that door. So that's just her MO.
That's Elena forgetting. Maybe Bryn would have remembered. Dang it.
I'm not sure though that because you guys have never shared a room, so I don't think Bryn even would have had that knowledge.
Yeah, that's true.
So good thing you forgot.
No one's ever gonna want to share a room with me ever again.
If there's a sock on the door, don't come knocking on
Okay, so now we can
Shaft's
talk about Gozer's thing. I just had to know if hypothetically I could have made it. Dang it.
So quite clearly, all of that was orchestrated to abduct Falzarin. It's because it's funny. I've been listening back to all the older episodes, and I started at the beginning, and I'm working my way through. And that very first gargoyle fight is just so cool to listen back to it and how it tore you up. Like it almost killed Chucky. And now you guys are just mowing through them like crazy, or so it seems anyways. I did kind of depower the gargoyles a little bit for those encounters because I looked at it as it wasn't a combat encounter but more of a tactical encounter. Yeah, well, because the gargoyles themselves weren't there to be the challenge, they were just to be the obstacle or an obstacle, right? And which is also why Gozer's, yours tried to run away, and I'll put a pin in that one because I want to get back to it. So yours tried to run away. All Shafts did was try to stop Bryn from getting to Falzarin's room.
Mm-hmm. Grab me up.
Yeah. So I think those gargoyles, I was ignoring their damage resistances and stuff. Like all your stuff should have been half damage unless you're using a magical weapon, right?
I was wondering that. Yeah.
I was thinking back to that. Yeah.
I'm poking with my rapier on this stone thing.
Yeah, this doing just
thematically, I'm dink, 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 and it falls apart.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And then, of course, poor Falsey gets the Banderhob.
Gets all gummed up by a big frog.
Which I haven't listened to that part either.
I've seen rumblings from a few individuals on Twitter that it's my fault for urging Falzarin to identify everything and use all of his spell slots. And I will say, and I think we mentioned this last after party episode, that I did say that something to that effect on Mike, like, oh, you're just gonna sleep.
Yeah, you're just gonna rest anyway. You said that.
I without a lie, 100% did not have all of these events completely planned out at that time. One, because I didn't expect you guys to be in Goldham as long as you were. Like, you guys were going to get jumped leaving Goldham.
Neither did Shaft.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah, but then Shaft was the one that was like, all right, let's go to bed at this hotel.
Well, because it's already like after dark, and what are you going to do?
It's safest in town at that point.
Yep, really safe.
Mm-hmm. So safe.
Well, I thought it was interesting getting ambushed in an inn because you don't expect that to happen, really. Like, every time Gozer's been barricading a door, I'm like, okay, that's what Gozer would do, but like we don't have to worry about that. We're in an inn. We're not going to get jumped in an inn.
Well, it was
so I thought that was an interesting twist.
Now you know better.
It was a good way for Falzarin to go out.
Yeah.
Leland, I think we absolve you of your sins of the...
Oh, good.
Yeah, at least I do. As John and Shaft, I feel fine if you want to burn through all his spell slots at any point in time.
As a character, when role-playing, do they know that he has, like, spell slots? Is that a thing? Like, would Bryn know that she's...
It may not be something as incredibly tangible as how the mechanics happen to play out.
Right.
But definitely, Falzer would be like, man, I'm tapped out. Like...
Yeah, you could think of it more as like that's how much energy they have. And after that last spell slot is used, they're just exhausted.
That's fine. I'm used to the whole energy thing with Bill in real life, so that's fine.
Always out of spell slots, Bill.
Are you commenting on my stamina?
No.
One big fireball, that's it. That's all he's got.
No. Let's just move on. That is not what I meant. But Bryn, for sure, like... 31, I think the listeners got a hint at like how frustrated she was getting at Shaft. I think everyone should be getting frustrated at Shaft.
It was subtle. It's definitely subtle.
But what played into that was like her feelings of guilt, and I couldn't identify it at the time, but like I woke up the next day and was like, that's what it is. Like she left him. She didn't go to his room first. He burned all his spell slots, identifying her crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was heavily involved in what went wrong.
So I think we're at the point now where we could talk about the...
where John and I can fight it out.
Right. So first I'd like to say that Gozer was the one who started out saying that Falzard was useless and why are we doing this in the first place?
Actually, I do believe it was Thuft.
Okay, Thuft. Okay. Once again, the instigator. So Shaft was all in, if you remember correctly, to go and get Falzarin until... somebody brought up the cube.
Again, that was Thuft.
Yeah, and I went,
freaking Leland.
Do we have the cube? That was the question. And I said, check the bag.
And I don't want to answer to Shaft.
You were so much against checking the bag for that cube. Shaft thought, something's up here, right? Why won't you just check to see if you got the cube? And then you were so belligerent about not checking to see if we had the cube because you were afraid Shaft was going to take the cube.
Yeah.
That it started the whole... Well,
and all
that matters...
I guess I already like had the wheels turning of like, all that matters to use this cube. If we have this cube, which I know we have this cube, like I didn't even have to ask Leland if we had it. We had it. I just figured we had it.
But Shaft didn't know that.
Do you think Shaft thought that Bryn was trying to pull had ulterior motives, or
Shaft had two things in his mind. Number one, that why is she not checking the bag?
Because you're telling me to. That's why I not.
But you're also an assassin and a thief.
Yeah, but you boss me around. I'm never gonna listen.
Well, you don't have to listen, but I gave you an alternative.
Which was?
Right. If I don't get the bag, then I'm
out of
done.
here. Yeah, absolutely.
Because and the other thing that Clint
which was not conducive to a podcast, by the way.
Oh,
what do you mean?
It's fine.
No, okay. I'm pin that one too because I'm gonna get back to that as well.
Okay.
So continue.
I want to hear point two. I'm curious.
Of what Shaft was thinking?
Yeah.
Two things.
Okay.
So there's the first thing.
So then the first off, Gozer was saying that it was useless to go get him. Second off, we didn't know if he was actually captured at that point either. And I can't remember what the other thing was right now.
Dang it!
But
John's
in character,
elderly brain.
Shaft would thank you. Shaft would.
He did say thank you. He's very polite.
I think Shaft was. Oh, that's out of character. Sorry. Shaft as a character would also be looking at this as what is the purpose of this, right? Our job is to go get the towers and move on. Our job is not to go find this guy that's been hanging with us for 2 weeks and potentially get killed. I do have some information that you guys did not have that you haven't listened to.
You've chosen not to share with us. Thanks.
I'm pretty confident. I think I have a good idea what information you have, but I think that makes sense.
I understand.
Now Falzarin has some information that the rest of the party does not either at this point.
The thing is, John, I'm not mad at how Shaft thinks and acts because because you were thinking and acting like Shaft would.
Yeah.
But as Elena and John trying to keep the party together and figure out how we move on from this, I was extremely frustrated with Shaft.
So here's what I know as John. Leland's not going to kill him off from a character perspective on the podcast.
What?
I would say if we all decided to go to the towers and just cut Bill out of the podcast, I have confidence. I have confidence in Leland that would not be what would happen.
But I don't like that you even
wait.
posed it as like an option to be like, you know what I mean?
But the thing is that Shaft would. Though.
I know Shaft
and
would, and that's why I said Elena and John. Like as far as like out of character, I was like, we've run into this before. Like, how do we keep the party together?
I got you.
And trying to think of that on the spot was very difficult. But at least it was made easier by the fact that 31 ended and 32 started. We had some time to redo some things.
Well, yeah. Well, there's two things I just want to interject with. So the cube. So when Thuft brought up the cube, originally when I conceived this idea of Falzarin getting abducted, which I've wanted to attempt to do for very, 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 very long.
What?
So when I thinking about it, I'm like, well, there is no way Shaft would go after Falzarin. Oh, wait, but if Falzarin has the cube, then there's some incentive. So Thuft brings up the cube, and immediately after it came out of Thuft's mouth, I'm like, oh, fuck, he doesn't have the cube. I'm like, oh, no. He doesn't have the cube.
That's hilarious.
So I put my foot in my mouth.
So it's all Leland's fault we hate Shaft.
So the other thing, I'm sorry, are you done?
No, go for it.
The other thing was Shaft just could not understand why Bryn wants to put so much effort into getting Falzarin. She's an assassin and a thief and works for Detmer. Our goal is to go get the money and finish the job. This guy
that was known Falzarin for about 2 weeks.
That was hanging with us at the bar and just sort of followed us essentially.
And I think
Right.
John, that was cold.
That's one perspective.
We're talking in character here. Really,
but for real, John, can you see how I played Bryn though? Like it took me a minute to figure it out. It was like a guilt of. There were multiple things that led to Falzarin being abducted that Bryn felt responsibility for.
Absolutely, and that's what makes good role play. I think is that moment in time we were at a disagreement, and what would your character do, and what would my character do, and sometimes that's going to lead to fisticuff, right? You know what
it leads to? Elena not sleeping at night because she's all worked up. Our recording ends at 11 o'clock at night, and she's just like pissed at Shaft, this imaginary thing that doesn't even exist, and she can't sleep.
I will say, if Emily remembers that we took a break there for a minute, and I went upstairs to get something to drink, and I go, "Do you think Elena's really pissed at me? Or does she know?
She did.
Does she know I'm playing a character?"
I think I get a little too into the role sometimes.
But I mean, that's how you know that this is a interesting thing we're doing, that
it's how you know I'm going to be an Academy Award winner,
we're obviously really
get really
invested and into this world that we've that Leland's thrown us into, and that we've tailored our characters
I'm
for.
thinking about method acting and just living as Bryn for a little bit.
Oh goodness.
Oh boy. Well, and then back to the splitting of the party not being conducive to podcasting and creating this podcast. I really want to discourage that from ever affecting your RP, Elena, because
it's just hard not to think about,
Of course, and I understand that, and I clearly have a plan for what is going to happen with Falzarin. I would never make Falzarin's life hinge on a decision that the three of you have to do. The three of you have to make. Now, one of your lives could hinge on an action that one of you others take, and the fallout from that action could very likely kill any of you, right?
Right.
But I would never orchestrate a situation without having something planned for it. I mean, it's not like, okay, he's going to get abducted. If the party doesn't find him in an hour, he's dead. Like,
I was going to say, are you saying Falzarin's still alive? The listeners out there.
Well, you guys took a short rest, so I guess Falzarin's dead.
They wouldn't stop arguing.
So to give you an example though of what I did in this. Okay, he got abducted. You guys discovered very quickly after his abduction that he was gone. And then I'm like, okay, if if this amount of time passes, this is where Falzarin will be. And then if this X amount passes, okay, X plus 2 amounts passes, okay, this is what's happening. X plus 5, okay, this is where Falzarin is going to be. And depending on where you guys ultimately end up finding him, if you do find him in that time period, will dictate on where Falzarin is in his story. So yeah, your actions are influencing what is happening to Falzarin, and the rate at which you seek him and or find him impacts Falzarin, but it certainly doesn't put Falzarin on a knife edge of death or living. But you as characters certainly don't know that, obviously. You as character, and Bryn, I'm sure, was all like, well, shit, if we don't find him, he's dead. And by all accounts, that's what your character should really think.
Yeah.
But you as players, as Elena, you should know,
I know.
I would never orchestrate something like that.
It was probably the hardest it's ever been, just in that fight in 31 and the beginning of 32 to like, yeah, it's probably more Elena than anything, but it's me get out of my own head and like let go of control and like let it all just play out, you know?
Right.
I mean, what do you think Bryn thinks of Shaft as a character? I mean, what do you think Bryn's opinion of Shaft
Great
is?
when you're thinking the same thing and on the same lines and on the same side.
Yeah.
The second you're opposed to him, she's like super annoyed of him.
So I mean, he works as a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And he is shifty.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like whatever's the most advantageous for him at the time.
Right. He's not necessarily out to sabotage anybody.
No, but his loyalties can be swayed.
That's right. Now, what do you think of Gozer?
Gozer's unpredictable. I appreciate that, like, Bryn and Gozer have had a few moments where, I would say, like, moments of humanity, I guess, but they're not, it's like elf and, what is she? Orc.
Half orc.
Yeah, but, she doesn't trust her either, but she doesn't think that she's gonna sway. Like, Shaft, it depends on the day, man.
Right. Now, I guess, Bill... What do you think Falzarin thinks of the other three of us? I mean, he's really the wild card here.
Yeah, I think Falzarin is a lot more naive than any of the other three and more apt to trust people. I think that Falzarin is quickly...
Remember, he just wants to talk it out.
I'm sorry.
Falzarin's quickly learning that he needs to not be so willing to just trust things that are told to him at face value. Because he's lived a pretty sheltered life. He's grown up he's spent the majority of his years on this island with a lot of like-minded people who have similar interests and
aligned goals.
Yeah, exactly. Like a community. So, yeah, he's a prime candidate for being taken advantage of and trusting someone who's not trustworthy.
But how does
Falzarin think of us? Yeah.
How does he view Shaft? Because I think we've had some good moments. And apart from the fact that you don't know that I was willing to leave you for dead, I don't think there's any reason you would not feel that you and I are probably the most together on things. I'm sort of don't want to fight.
There's been the least amount of conflict between Falzarin and Shaft. Like Gozer has
literally knocked you out.
Yeah, literally knocked Falzarin unconscious, and on another occasion hit me, but didn't deal the final blow.
I think what it is that Falzarin believes Shaft, and Shaft's just sweet talking.
Bryn's been very antagonistic on occasion.
Private with you. I'm very private with you.
But Shaft really hasn't given Falzarin much reason to have any beef with him. So probably out of all three, Falzarin is most likely to trust Shaft, despite Bill knowing better.
Right.
So I think
it makes sense. He's a persuasive guy, and you're naive. You're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically, and also just what we've seen so far. There hasn't been anything that Shaft has done that I've witnessed that it gives me any reason to not trust him.
Like summon these toads.
I think I maybe
apparently.
have some, maybe there's a bit of like a spidey sense is perhaps giving me some inklings that maybe this party, all three of them aren't the most trustworthy, but there's not a lot of concrete evidence to paint Shaft in a bad light.
What about Gozer?
I think Falzarin thinks Gozer is not one to be messed with. I think Falzarin thinks Gozer... Now, I know that Gozer's chaotic evil, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Falzarin thinks she's chaotic evil, but I think that he thinks she's very self-serving and dangerous. She's almost does things on a whim, whatever is going to entertain her, or
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say necessarily that he thinks all that negatively of her. He just knows, keep a bit of a wide berth around her, because you might get smacked upside the head and knocked on your butt.
Yeah, meanwhile, Gozer kind of thinks of Falzarin as a pet.
Right, yeah. But I don't think...
Same level as stuffed.
I think probably Bryn is the person that Falzarin would have the most disdain for, because of the fact that she's on several occasions, or I don't know how many times, but like willfully done things contrary to what Falzarin thought was the right thing to do, or what Falzarin tried to tell her to do, or withheld information, was not trustworthy. So I think probably Bryn is the person that he trusts the least, which is interesting because now Bryn is the one who's sticking up for him the most. But I mean, it's partly out of guilt.
It's
though.
also the funny that Bryn would trust Falzarin the most, because she just knows you're a good guy. She senses some of that.
Yeah, and
naivety.
I think that's part of Bryn's guilt, is that it's like, hey, out of all four of us, this guy here is a happy-go-lucky, trusting guy who I've just,
I would almost think that Elena and Shaft would be the most on the same page, because we're both really from that
Elena.
same... I mean, Elena and Shaft. Bryn and Shaft.
Well, I think where we butt heads and where I disagree is that we're both just really stubborn and want our own way.
Right, but I mean, Shaft would know that you don't like being told what to do, so he'll use that to his advantage in some way.
Yeah,
right?
but I feel like she sees through that. She's not stupid.
No, exactly. That's why I think we both sort of know what our ultimate goal is, and we're both sort of from that same, dark back alley. I mean, you're an assassin.
Yeah, I think there's more to Bryn than that. I don't know. I am at least playing her like her and Shaft should get along on paper, but...
There's lots more to Bryn, but there's
a lot more.
There's not that much that Shaft has been exposed to. So
Yeah.
Shaft is just operating on what he's seen of you. And I think that completely makes sense.
Like, Bryn's got a rough backstory, but she's just like... I don't know. The Feylair and Forest Elves are a little bit different than your people.
I guess my take on it would be, would Shaft, as a character, would he risk his life for the three of you at this point?
Oh, definitely not. I don't think even Falzarin would.
Exactly.
Even though he's the most glass half full, rose-colored glasses of all of us.
For sure, Bryn wouldn't risk her life for Shaft or Gozer. Due to recent circumstances, I can see herself throwing herself into a lot of danger for Falzarin, because there's more of a disregard for her, like thinking just a few weeks back, not even a month back or whatever, what happened to her friend, which you kind of know a little bit about. Like, she would just be like, well, at least I'd be dying for something that like, she knows Falzarin's a good person. She'd be willing to like, her life doesn't mean as much anymore. That's why she chose Assassin. Bryn only recently started killing people because she stopped caring about life.
Oh, and from Shaft's perspective, he doesn't know how long you've been an assassin.
Exactly. She tried to, exaggerate it a little bit to you at some point, but...
So then we moved on to how far did we get? We got over the wall. We did some tracking.
Well, we're kind of missing the 31 to 32. We should discuss what happened.
Yeah. So, the last two bouts of recording, we've had quite a bit of technical difficulties we've been trying to overcome.
This one could not be overcome.
Basically, from the end of, the first one, from the end of 31 for like another hour, I think it was only an hour, of our original recording, we lost a section of our audio. So we had to redo a bunch of that stuff, specifically the road in which you encountered the specters. And then after that, we had even more technical difficulties, which I haven't had to quite tackle yet as far as editing go. I tried to a little bit, but that's going to be session 33. So we may as well just talk about it and get it out of the way now. But we had some syncing problems, and the cliffhanger that 32 left on this third encounter in episode 32, basically where that cut off is where our good audio cut off. Immediately after that, everything got all fucked up, and it's gonna have to be. I'm gonna have to fix it now.
You're being nice and not pointing the finger, but
yeah, that was
fault.
Our bad. I don't know what our computer did, but our audio just stopped recording essentially, and we didn't realize.
We usually are staring at it, writing as it goes and seeing the timestamp, and we had a Google Chrome page up covering it and didn't realize for like an hour.
Well, to in your defense, that was when basically Bill got to play for 10 minutes, and then he was gone for the rest of the 2 hours we were playing. So I felt really bad because I didn't know how long it was going to take for them to get back to you. I didn't know what was going to happen. So the order in which a lot of the one-on-one stuff between Bill and myself, the order in which it's going to be put out into the episodes is definitely not the order in which it was actually recorded. Whereas part of that first section, so that little bit that we saw at the beginning of 32 with just Falzer and Izzy, which the rest of the party actually has not listened to, I think, right?
Right.
No, we haven't.
I don't know. Again, that's going to be up to Bill whether or not he thinks it'll be fine for you guys to listen to. But Bill and I had to re-record that as well. And then we actually ended up, it kind of ended up getting expounded, and there's another section that I think is really cool, and I'm excited for it to actually be released and to get into editing and stuff. You know.
Dang it.
Definitely not.
It's so hard to be a fan and in it at the same time and can't listen to everything.
I know. I really wish you guys could listen to that first little bit of 32 because I want to talk about it. Maybe Bill, you
get everyone off the mic real quick for the rest of the episode.
Listened to it. It's probably
remember the timestamp.
Safe for them to listen to, I think.
I don't know. You always think we know more than we do.
There's not much that's given away, I don't think.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. It's quite innocuous as far as hidden information. It just literally is information that should be hidden from the characters because, of course, they're not there. I don't know. Again, we can decide that off mic, but it's really
have your own after party later. We're not invited.
So in 32, all of those Spectre fights, those were actually all different. The first time we recorded them, I changed them so at least we had something a little more fresh. Originally, the cairns in which the party came upon were large, much larger than the small little 1.5 2 feet stacks of stones. They were made of bone, and as they came into contact with the bone cairns, they formed into a bunch of skeletons and attacked the party.
The first time was cooler.
Yeah. Well, I know, but I didn't want you guys to be bored, and I wanted it to not sound like it was.
Well, I liked that I one-shotted stuff.
I liked the second time actually.
What was the thing you gave Gozer as a pet the first time?
Oh,
it was so cute.
We miss. Yeah.
Thuft too.
Thuft got a pet. Yeah.
Thuff too.
Thuft got a pet rat because all the snakes and the bugs were originally like swarms of rats, and Thuft plucked one up and named it Thuft 2 and was his pet.
I was honestly that. Oh man, that was so funny.
It was really cute.
I think that is the biggest tragedy of that loss.
Yeah.
The biggest loss.
Is Thuft 2.
But we still got some funny role playing with Gozer and Thuft in the final cut where Thuft tries to catch a snake
And
Thuft
Gozer's
refuses to
teasing
give
him with
Bryn
it.
her gems. Ugh.
That was funny.
They weren't your gems.
Well, I killed the guy. Whose are they?
Whoever picks them up.
I was pretty ticked.
When I was editing episode 32, I'm just thinking to myself, this is like the epitome of how this party functions.
I think it's pronounced epitome.
One of them is God knows where. Could be dead. Could be lying dead in a gutter. So could literally still be somewhere dead in the city of Goldham.
Well, we're
And
following the slime, you know?
You're following slime. Yeah, you're following something. Could be. Who the fuck knows where Falzarin is? And they're continue to stop to squabble over some gems. That is so you guys. Oh my goodness.
I love it.
Don't forget the hour-long break we took.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bryn and Shaft decided to argue for an hour.
And Gozer took a nap.
I will say that 32 opened with a much more civil conclusion to the Bryn and Shaft, Falzarin bag debacle, like her choosing to throw it at him.
Right.
I think at that point, as Elena and John, we were just like over it, and I for sure was. I was like, I'm not figuring out more of this argument.
I think you had a little bit more faith in the fact that whatever came of that, the party wasn't going to be split, and the podcast wasn't going to dissolve based on an argument between Shaft and Bryn.
We stopped recording, right? We lost that audio, so I had time to sleep on it and think about it, and I was like, screw it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so honestly, though, like, I am much happier with how all of how Falzarin stuff ultimately turned out, having to redo it. And even for Bill, I tweaked some things. Small minor things, but I think it read better, and I think it sounded great. I've
always said you've got total creative license over whatever you want to edit that I say. So I thought
I don't really do that, but no, I'm excited. I'm really excited for the next couple episodes. Like the next at least 2 episodes are big, or I think pretty big episodes. Even
There's
bigger
a lot
than
going on.
like 31 was. Yeah, there is a lot going on.
That echo you added to your cackle was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was actually a little too much, but
again, you could have edited out the
it.
Elena version of the cackle. Like you did not need the listeners' ears to be blown. I was listening in the car and it was like, I'm like, okay, Leland, leaving it in. All right.
Well, I left it in to stress, and I hope it came across, like to stress the point that its cackle was deeper. Than what you may expect coming from. Like it's not a witch's cackle, so that is why I left that in. I needed the context.
Please call me a witch, you guys.
It's the after party. I could put a hard B on that and be
read
fine.
Between the lines. No, I thought that was great. I loved the audio with these episodes. It was hard to put my finger on what was different, but it seemed like I don't know. It's just really good.
The music.
Good music, good extra stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple new tracks I've put in and been trying to experiment. They're very clearly less fantasy-ish, and I think it's still working fine.
Yeah,
I was super happy with like the Bryn episode at the end. It was like Stranger Thingsy and like
yeah. There's some really good tracks on Tabletop Audio.
There were angels singing somewhere.
So actually, that's a good. I'm gonna good segue into one of our questions that Jess sent in. She just asked, which I think we've actually had this question before, is when we record, do we have the music playing in the background, which we don't. But her follow-up question, which I don't think we have ever answered before, is if not, do you think it would change the experience of role-playing if we did have it while we played?
Ooh.
I think, yeah, absolutely. It would make it feel a little bit more tense. If
Put you more in the mood.
yeah, and
That's what she said.
I've read people, in forums or whatever, talking about how they do have playlists that they put on when they play, whether it be board games or RPGs or whatever. And I think that's a cool idea. We've tried it a couple times when we've been playing games.
Not
Elena
get
and I.
it in the audio?
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't work for a podcast.
We could do it. If we want, if the next time we play it, we want to have me fiddling and like I can pipe tabletop audio stuff to you guys and not have it on our recording. I could easily do that. But we can experiment. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's experiment.
Interesting.
We do that with our other group. I usually have, if you go into a tavern, I put the tavern sound, background sounds. For in a cave, I put a background cave sound or music and things like that. It does add a little bit of, that
Je ne sais quoi.
ambiance to the, but it also is, if you're DMing and you're trying to mess around with that too.
I was just about to mention that too. It's just another thing to manage.
All right, so if anyone wants to DJ for us,
what you would be hearing, what you would be hearing is not necessarily what I would actually put into the episode either. Whereas I hope listeners have been picking up on it. I have some staple music that I use in specific times, often related to specific characters. Like Bryn, you have your own theme song, basically.
Yeah, I do.
Every
but now I
time
have
you're
that
doing-
Stranger Things too. That was kind of cool.
Well, it's because you have a 45-minute long episode. I can't play an 8-minute track 6 times.
I'm probably not allowed to say Stranger Things.
Well,
Sorry, Stranger Things.
It's very clearly they're spoofing Stranger Things. There are actually 2 tracks on tabletop audio like that, and I used them both actually in the episode where you guys encountered the grung for the first time. Session 24.
I picture Gozer's music to be just like bellowing like monk music, like
like throat singing.
Yeah, just like that low throat singing. And like Shaft is like yeah.
So I guess to wrap up 32, like not too much.
He's like moving on. It's like enough of that. Let's shut
Somebody's
down.
got to pull the reins here. I guess like really nothing happened all that much other than you guys squabbling over these gems and fighting these 2 specters, and then of course it ends with the poor Thuft getting launched into the air. So that specific fight though, we tried to do that fucking encounter like literally 4 different fucking times until finally I'm like, okay, you pick up the yellow gem and nothing fucking happens. Like, like I was so mad during that section of that recording. I was so fucking frustrating.
Because our audio was messing up, or what happened? I don't remember.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
You don't remember doing that fucking fight 4 goddamn times?
Was
Are you
it-
No,
kidding me?
What
Are
was
you
the
fucking
issue, though?
kidding me?
Well, for one, Falzern wasn't part of it. So.
Was it
that's
the
true.
dog's fault? What was it?
It was.
Well, we dropped the audio the first time. So we had to
John's
redo it.
laptop was almost dying.
Oh, right. John's
And then we
laptop.
all stopped because he was.
Okay,
we thought he
okay.
was
I
restarting.
remember.
Yeah,
Oh,
a
yes,
whole
yes.
bunch
That's part of
shit,
why
right?
our audio is not synced. Like, all of us had different...
Yes, I have to.
That's
I
going
will
to
have
be brutal.
to pain. Yeah, it's going to be brutal.
We'll give you a massive raise, Leland.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
We'll pay you twice what we pay now.
Yeah, I feel bad. That's rough.
Ugh.
Well, whatever. Hey, we've been lucky so far, right?
That's true. I mean, we've made it quite a ways without technical issues, so we're fortunate.
So Jess, she's had us another question, but I think I want to save it till next after party.
Okay.
I think it will possibly be more relevant, maybe not to everybody.
We'll have a lot to talk about. I'm excited.
But she did have a couple comments. She's just really enjoyed the solo episode. Can't wait to see more of them for the other characters as well. She particularly likes them because she says here, Leland gets finally gets a chance to shine and show us all how great of a role player he is.
Can I read that? Did she really say that?
No, I am deleting the Instagram message.
Sounds really suspicious.
There may be a bit of embellishment, but I mean, it's basically what it says. Also, she says, "Fuck you" in these cliffhangers. I believe that was directed to me.
It's a good one.
I liked
There's
it.
a lot
I
coming
liked
up.
it where it ended.
Yeah. Well, I think Elaine and I have both commented on different occasions that we love the fact that we've got some recurring NPCs because it does get to highlight Leland doing some role playing, which I think has been a lot of fun. So.
Well, it's, again, listening back to all these episodes, you know how much Isabella Good has changed? I had forgotten that I adjusted the pitch on her voice that I was doing originally.
Oh, I didn't notice.
It sounds so terrible. I should go back and re-record those lines and put them in with regular Izzy. With
no one
breathy
else is
Izzy.
re-listening like you are, though.
Well, I know, but
I'm going to go back and re-listen.
We still get.
Will you actually remember to get quotes for us?
Yes, absolutely.
There was some.
We need
there's
quotes,
some,
people.
There's some sloppy music transitions. There's some sloppy endings on some episodes.
All right, so you got some compliments. Listeners, message us with your complaints about Leland's editing. We can't get his head too big.
Is in reference to your guys' comments about can't quite put your finger on what's different. It is, I think, just small stuff. I think I'm just getting better at it. Getting better at constructing the episodes. Whereas, when we first started, I had never done any type of show like this before, obviously, right? I mean, a spoken podcast there's far less work putting that together, right? Like there's no additional tracks you're putting in. There's no real volume balancing with the music. And that's another thing I'm getting better at too, is there was one episode where like combat music was so loud. I'm like, this is way too loud. Why is this so loud?
I think it sounds great now, and I didn't go back and listen to the first ones, but I figured that's, like anything with our characters and everything else, you're going to get better as you go along.
Yeah.
I think the only downside to it is when people do start listening to the podcast that they, they need to know.
They got to sweat it out for a bit. It gets better, guys.
But I think that happens with because we're getting to know each other too, right?
Right.
There have been many other podcasts I've listened to that start out a little bit rough and get much better after a half dozen episodes or whatever. A lot of people have technical issues the first few episodes and stuff like that.
Yeah, we hold off on ours till episode 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also didn't, though it was recommended by a few people, that we just don't put out the first few couple episodes, right? Like, we didn't have those work the kinks out episodes.
Right. Yeah, we just jumped right in, which
yeah.
Not only were we jumping right in with our characters, it was the first time any of us had ever RP'd together and done any role playing, and it was the first time Elaine and I had ever done any role playing ever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I think all things considered, it turned out really not
The
bad.
whole point was to prove that it's doable.
Yeah.
And we just put ourselves out there.
Also very clear that I hadn't DM'd in a while too, those first few episodes. And it's so funny though, because like I know what episodes that we all recorded in a single one of our sessions. Like I know. Right. So you could just like tell, from 3 to 4. Okay, well yeah, things are getting a little better. Oh, okay, 6 to 7 is the next jump the next quality jump right now.
Hey, at least I'm not asking you about all my numbers anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Took a while.
Speaking of technical difficulties, I'm having one right now, and I don't know how much more we have.
Oh no!
But I don't want to lose anything. So, do we have anything else we need to get to?
I think that was everything that I had. Oh, one last thing. So you guys constantly shit on me for my pronunciations of a few select words.
Oh yeah, there's new ones coming up, guys.
Now I have one
Listen
that
up.
Emily says weird.
Oh.
Yeah.
She can't say Cairn. She
No.
says Karn. How tall is this Karn? There's an I
quite
in
a
there,
few other-
Emily.
No, there's quite a few other words that I say weird that you just haven't come across yet.
Yeah, I
Leland,
can
there's
tell
some
ya.
in these upcoming episodes. There's a few where you say southern, you say cavern, and then there's a new one. I can't remember exactly right now, but there's another one coming.
I don't.
It's what makes
Nobody
our
says-
Leland our Leland.
Nobody says cavern.
Yes, they do. Everyone says
The rest of
cavern.
the world. I would like to mention we were playing Near and Far with Brian the other day, and he said he's going into the tavern.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
It's spreading.
Brian knew what he
said
was
it on
doing
purpose,
there.
though.
Oh yeah, he knew what he was doing.
It
Yeah.
starts out as on purpose. Before you know
And then
it.
it sticks.
Yeah. That's
All right,
funny.
I think we need to wrap it up real soon.
All right.
Well, just one other thing. Super McDad said, "Can Gozer catch things?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What kind of things?" He said, "Small green things that rhyme with puffed."
Oh.
So, well, I had to
Puffed.
think about that one.
It's like rabies.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
So Gozer can catch things if she's in the mood.
That's
Oh no!
put some music on.
Poor
You know?
theft.
It's only 30. It's only 30 feet. It's fine. It's fine.
They won't kill him, probably.
Jeez.
Oh, and then I sorry. One last thing. I have a rules correction too. I made a big deal of getting John you to check whether or not pass without trace. You had to maintain concentration on it, and then you got hit, and I didn't make you make a concentration to maintain the spell.
Yeah.
So like I did get you to make a concentration check, but that was for an effect that the specter was doing on you, not for maintaining the spell.
I didn't catch that. I don't think it changed anything in the game.
We haven't really seen that because I haven't used much in the way of concentration
No,
spells.
yeah.
Yeah, only on select occasions. Yeah, and I almost forgot. Like you with your flaming spheres, you had to maintain concentration. So
Yeah.
Right.
okay, well, I've been Leland Steele.
I've been Emily.
I've been John.
I'm Elena.
And I'm Bill. Thanks for listening.
Happy adventuring. And that's our show. Our intro and outro music was created by Josh Jarvis. For your own musical inquiries, contact jamesmercymusic@gmail.com. All other music and ambient noise is courtesy of tabletopaudio.com. The Incorrigible Party is sponsored by Critical Hit Design. Visit criticalhitdesign.com for all of your graphic design needs. You can find more info on the characters and world at incorrigibleparty.com. Enjoying the show? Have any questions or rules corrections? Email us. contact@incorrigibleparty.com or reach out on social media. The Incorrigible Party on Facebook and Instagram, @IncorrigiblePar on Twitter, using the hashtag AfterPartyIP for a shout out during our behind the screen after party episodes that drop every 4th release. Happy adventuring!